Welcome, everybody. Welcome to AI Manufacturing Day. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Lucian Fogoros. I'm your host for today. And just a couple of reminders before we get started. First off, thank you for joining. Thank you to speakers and especially the sponsors for making this possible. Now, everybody, all the speakers throughout the day are live. As such, I'd encourage you to post your question in the Q&A and we will follow up and answer either during this recorded session or afterwards in a video recording. That said, I'd like to welcome the moderator for the first session, Swanagan Ray. Welcome to the stage.
Thanks, Lucian. It's good to be here. And like you said earlier, whether you're starting your day, finishing it, or somewhere between, welcome. Thank you again for joining us for this session. A quick favor before we head in or dive in, please head to the chat and tell us where you're joining from. And more importantly, what specific AI use case you're scaling and trying to implement this year. We want this to be a working conversation, so the more we know about who's in the room, the better. So housekeeping before we jump in. This is going to run roughly 59 minutes, and we will definitely get you out on time. Please put all questions in the Q&A tool, not the chat. We'll get to as many as we can by the end. And thank you to our sponsor for this session, Infinite Uptime. None of this happens without them. So here's the question we're going to spend the next hour on. Every vendor in this industry will tell you that their AI works, and most of the time that technology actually does work. So why are many manufacturers still stuck? Is it pilots that never scale, buying tools their operators don't use, or something else? To answer those questions, we're going to look at AI manufacturing through a very specific lens today, which is the operator on the floor. So trust, cultural adoption, vendor lock-in, and the gap between what gets sold and what actually changes the way a plant runs. I have four guests with very different vantage points on that question, so let me introduce them. So first up is Karthikeyan Natarajan, co-CEO of Infinite Uptime. Karthik has 30 years as a business transformation leader, previous CEO and executive director at Scient, where he led the company's transformation into a technology solutions partner. Spent 20 plus years at Tech Mahindra as global head for integrated engineering services. And today he's head of Infinite Uptime, focused on 99% trust loop, the shift between predictive to prescriptive AI and manufacturing. Next up is Alec Glenn, VP of Reliability at JSW Steel USA. So Alec leads reliability operations for JSW Steel, responsible for process control and equipment reliability at the Baytown, Texas slate pipe mill and the Mingo Junction, Ohio slab facility. JSW operates modern electric arc furnace technology and is part of one of the world's largest steel producers. Next up is Rajneesh Ojha, so Fiber's Global MTC Lead Digital at Indorama Ventures. So Rajneesh leads digital transformation for the global fibers division of Indorama, which is one of the world's largest petrochemical and PET manufacturers with operations across multiple continents. His focus is digital reliability and the balance between internal domain knowledge and external partner expertise. And then you already met Lucian Fogoros, who is the co-founder at IIoT World. So Lucian is a software engineer turned media entrepreneur, and he's built a platform that connects 300,000 plus decision makers across industrial IoT, AI, and ICS cybersecurity. He brings industry-wide views from trends, pitfalls, and what's actually working across the practitioner community. And I'm Swanagan Ray. I'm the director of go-to-market strategy at Axiom Systems, which is a magic software company. My background is in control systems and plant operations, including time at DuPont. I'm filling in today for Ryan Cahalan from LNS Research, so you're getting some boots on the floor perspective from the moderator chair too. All right, let's just jump right in. So I'd like to start with what manufacturers actually need in 2026 and 2027. So Karthik, I'd like to start with you. Let's start with like the 30,000 foot view. What are some of the most important business challenges manufacturers are facing going into 2026 and 27? And why is prediction not the same as outcome?
Good. Thank you. Good day, everyone, and very warm welcome to every one of you for being part of this panel discussion. And thank you, Swanagan, for orchestrating it. And we are really excited about participating in this discussion. And manufacturing has always been a challenge, and it doesn't get any better. And especially if you look at what we have seen in the last 2 years and heading to 26, 27, I think the margin pressures continue to suffocate. and the demand recovery is patchy globally, and the skill labor and availability of workforce is definitely a biggest issue. And if there are some statistics to be believed, more than 30% of the maintenance or operator positions don't get filled, and it's always a challenge. And also the energy volatility that we have seen, especially last 3 months, is even more concerning. And also the sustainability mandates as we are trying to get ourselves to be a greener economy. And the supply chain, which is getting disrupted over the last 5 years post-COVID, being very volatile, and you keep finding new alternate sources. At the same time, you need to look for stability. You need to ensure that the quality of supply is going to be another concern. And apart from and higher expectations to improve, use technology to improve throughput, uptime, and also ability to improve the quality as well as safety part. So this is a challenge. This is the context in which most of our manufacturing customers operate in. And the reason why we believe prediction is no longer enough, because you can predict about what is likely to happen. But what you cannot really help the manufacturers is what to do next. I think that's the real issue for them, and the technology, like what we have kind of put in place, helping customers to get a specific prescription to act upon, which is very precise and which requires a clear action timeline. And how do you think this is going to be a biggest breakthrough for them to really get an outcome? And if you look at the title of this session, which really describes three important elements: 99% trust loop, and we are talking about outcomes and enabling semi-autonomous operations. When you talk about 99% trust loop, you need to have customer in the loop. We need to have manufacturing operations in the loop. We need to have maintenance teams in the loop, because when we really use technology like industrial AI to help to predict what is likely to happen with the prescriptive actions, it need to be validated. We truly believe in a four-step process, which is very deeply evolved over the last few years, and which ensures we are able to bring a very high accuracy. If you don't bring accuracy to the level of 99%, I don't think manufacturers would ever like. They've seen issues of very high false positives, and they've seen a lot of recommendations which cannot be acted upon. So it needs to be precise. It needs to be something which gains the confidence. It needs to be very accurate. And you can't really take a chance in industrial operations, anything which is less than 98, 99% accuracy. And what we have also seen customers acting on those accuracy is also very interesting. We have seen about 98 to 99% of our prescriptions have been acted on. And this is where we kind of take pride in terms of creating the trust loop, and which is also delivering outcomes. When you do predictions, it doesn't guarantee outcome. When you go with prescriptions, you are really looking at either a maintenance cost reductions, operational efficiency improvement, and ability to really have a significant impact on your throughput and energy reduction. I think these are very, very clearly measurable outcomes, and enabling more and more assisted operations in manufacturing. I think these are the expectations that we are hearing from our customers in the manufacturing industry.
Yeah, thank you, Karthik. That's very good perspective. If we could, I would like to start with the first poll. So, Paul, would you mind to put the first poll up for us in the chat, which is, what is your most important business challenge from the audience? I'd like to get your take on that as well. So, Alec, to what Karthik said, building on that. So, inside y'all's operations, what do these challenges actually look like on the floor? Specifically, what are your team's challenges and ways of working with these new tools and in this environment?
Yeah, I think first of all, I apologize for my voice. I was perfectly fine Friday, and then got a little bit under the weather over the weekend. But with that being said, biggest challenge is really it's the adoption, right? The trust and building the verification and getting the teams really involved. I think from the JSW perspective, we're unique, especially JSW USA, because we have JSW, the bigger parent company, and they were further ahead. So they already went and looked at different technologies. They looked at different suppliers. They already had a vision. So they were implementing that. In the US sites, we weren't as far as ahead. In fact, some were starting from scratch and re-looking what we're doing from the baseline. So, the interesting thing is people have a lot of data, like just a tremendous amount of data. And sometimes they get stuck in the weeds and, they think, okay, I need to buy all this stuff. Well, if you buy all this stuff, it's just not cost effective, right? So you really need to look at what the end goal is. And obviously, one of our top priorities is to be good, shareholders and, stakeholders. So we need to give back. So we need to make sure we spend the right money. So I think that's very important when you look at the overall adoption is how do you invest in it and scale it over time? You just can't do it at day one. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rajneesh, I'd like to jump to you and get your perspective. So you operate at a global scale across petrochemicals. What's different when you're rolling AI and these kind of technologies out across plants in different regions with different workforces and different levels of digital maturity?
Thank you, Ray. Actually, if I talk about from manufacturing perspective, reliability was for every manufacturer is always on top priority because it eats up your productivity margins, whatever you left after squeezing on a stressed business environment also. So it is, and currently it is a top priority for us as well as a Indorama. When it started, of course, there was no AI. People were relying on the pure IoT feedbacks, and somebody has to take the right call on the decision. But with the AI now, it is decision makings are being easy. For you don't need to be like Cat 3, Cat 4 expert in vibration analysis to understand all the FTPs and all these things, right? So that AI is helping them to give a not only predictive alerts few weeks earlier, what's going to happen, what is happening within your assets, but also how can you optimize way you can run your asset actually. So that reliability is spreading out towards your productivity as well, not only to the rotating assets, I would say. Even it is also helping us, manufacturers, to how you can run optimized way this asset for the highest performance. So it is really coming up. The only thing is the way technology is getting matured very quickly, very rapidly, but the workforce, which is I always use this term. Normally, people are hardwired. The way they learn from a conventional way, grew up in an environment, it is not changing in the same pace as the technology. So that creates a gap between the right adoption of the technology, what is it designed for or meant for. So the results varies actually because of that. So, but that is copying up slowly. Slowly, industries are also understanding this. Leaderships are also coming up, right? So I think it is the need of our, I'd say, for all the industries.
Great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that certainly jives with my experience as well. So we're talking about outcomes and we're talking about the people at the end of the day. It's not a technology specific question. It's at the end of the day, it comes down to the people and it comes down to how you work with this stuff and how you implement what you already have. And yeah, 100% agree. Paul, would you mind to put up the poll results here and we'll read through them. So the most important business challenge that y'all said, reliability uplift got 20%. So it's avoiding reliability maintenance outages. 14% said asset ramp optimization. 26% said cost reduction. 14% said margin protection, and 25% said capacity rationalization. So thank you all for those answers. It's very useful. So Alec, back to you. From your side of the table, you've sat through vendor pitches. What are some of the blind spots you consistently see when you see people with these technologies walk into a steel mill, for instance? Where does the conversation typically go wrong from your perspective?
Yeah, I think the biggest blind spot is really when we start a conversation listening to the other person. So sometimes vendors come in with their solution And obviously all different industries are different, right? But there's a lot of commonality. So sometimes they come in and they already say, "Yep, I know what I'm going to do," and you don't need to tell me more. They're good to an amount, but also, we need to work together. And the level of what AI is to different vendors really is different. So to me, if somebody's selling me a sensor, that isn't necessarily AI, right? It might feed into the AI software and do something great for me, but at the end of the day, that sensor is not what's the real magic, right? It's going to be the algorithms behind it. It's going to be how it thinks. It's going to be how it delivers something back to me. And then it needs to be transparent enough for me to do something with. So it needs to have either a good dashboard, good recommendations, something where it's very clear for us to be successful. If we have to spend too much time or spend money to get a new expert just to read the data, we've also lost, right? So it really needs to be about how do we, increase productivity, reduce labor on our team, and, really make it work for us.
Yeah, understood. So, Karthik, how are you seeing manufacturers avoid these problems and still secure real process and equipment context for their AI?
Yeah, so it is important from the customer standpoint that they've made significant capex investments over the last decade and across their IT and OT environments. It is important to preserve any of the prior automation investment that they would have made. And it is also important to work across multi-vendor ecosystems and instead of creating a lock-in. And the ability to bring in both the domain expertise as well as AI capabilities, I think both are critical, which is where the process contextualization becomes very critical. Because the reason why the AI can work today is because it can really pull in multitude of information that is required across equipment, process, and maintenance quality throughput, and you can integrate all of them as part of one single window. I think that really makes it to be very compelling and also be able to deliver operational outcomes and on a continuous basis. It's not delivering once, it's about delivering every day, every week, every month, and also stay accountable beyond just deployment. I think these are the expectations the manufacturers have on us, and they don't like rip and replace because we have worked across brownfield implementations where any sensor, we kind of really go and say that we are sensor agnostic. We can really bring in process data, we can ingest any kind of process data, and we are able to really bring in the insights that require to be acted on, irrespective of their existing installed base of vendors, hardware, as well as various enterprise systems that they would have deployed. And plants also have very heterogeneous equipment vintages, and they want to make sure it's about they don't like to see any disruption to their existing operations. They don't like to see any cybersecurity related threats, and they don't like the long payback cycles since they've seen this. Movie multiple times, and they want to make sure that they are conscious of trying to really make more of an OpEx based decision rather than a heavy CapEx led investment decisions. And also the organizational resistance, change management, which has always been an issue. And when you're really working in that environment, how do you make it easy for them to adopt? How do you make it easy for them to see that it can easily be adopted? It does not require significant amount of training. It understands the operator context and it understands the process context. It makes it easy for them to adopt. I think these are the ones that we have always seen, which really works. And trying to understand the asset behavior and bring in the process conditions, operator actions, maintenance history, any production constraints, and plant specific operating philosophy. If you combine all of them, I think it creates a solution that becomes easy for them to adopt.
Yeah, thank you. So I'd like to do another poll now. So Paul, if you wouldn't mind to put poll number 2 up on the screen. I would like to get the audience's feedback on what their preferred partner and support type is. So how do you like to see this come across in your plants? So back to you, Karthik. On the trust question, how are manufacturers addressing like the black box AI problem? You know, we talk about what is actually in this stuff. You know, is it probabilistic? Is it deterministic? How is it solving specific problems? And especially, I'd like to get your angle on when people are being asked to trust the system. A lot of times, these people will get the blame later on down the road. So if something goes wrong, so how do you address that?
Yeah, it's a very important question, Swanagan. I think the adoption won't happen unless they can really trust, and the trust doesn't happen overnight. It gets built over a period of time. For example, if I were to quote what we are doing at Infinite Uptime, we have more than 100,000 plus monitoring points over the last 5, 6 years, and this has been learning continuously, real time. And if we are able to bring in the recommendations which is being acted on by the customers, that accuracy is about 98, 99%. And our ability to really drive clear actions with feedback in terms of what did it impact as an outcome. And when you do it repeatedly over a period of 5, 7 years, I think it really creates what I would call it as an explainability of AI is super critical. And you should really explain why something is being recommended, what is the reasons that you are able to really bring in. I think that's what the customers want to see. They want to really understand why are you recommending certain actions and where is it coming from. And the second element would be it has to be based on evidence that you should really pinpoint. This is the reason why I'm recommending some actions to be taken. And you can also trace the decisions, and which is transparent. We kind of tell our customers saying that, hey, if you can see the true positives, you can see the false positives, you can see the false negatives in our platform. It is open, transparent, it is auditable. Anybody can go ahead and look at how it has been built over the last few months, few years, and you get a complete history that is available to them. And with the human in the loop verification, makes the physics-based engineering plus explainable AI models makes it compelling. I think that's where the black box theory is being demystified.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's certainly, there's, inside of these operations, one of the biggest challenges is silos, and so the more context that each person in those silos have, the better they can communicate across to facilitate, that transparency. So yeah, thank you. I'd like to move on now to, we talked about outcomes, so I'd like to really hone in on that. So talk about operator validation and evidence-based decisions. So Alec, inside your plants, who actually gets to propose what needs to change in the tools and ways of working? Is it engineering, operations, the vendor or the operator on the line?
Yeah, so I mean, it's always important to remember we have a varied experience. Obviously in India, they're much further. So there they do have a team that supports, with the vendors and, suppliers. So it's a real integrated approach. And then they do obviously build dashboards, they communicate that upwards. And, it depends on the severity, right? If it's critical or it's going to cause production issues immediately, obviously it'll get ramped up. If it's something that's smaller, that it's just, a warning or something of that nature, then they'll go ahead and schedule it. So they definitely will come through and they'll say, okay, here's what I see, here's what I recommend. And then after that, we have the next layer where the team members look at it and they schedule it and they decide what to do. We're not to the point where we stop equipment per se, through AI, but through level 1 software, we would.
Great. And how important is operator validation in that desired change and impact?
Yeah, it's extremely important. I mean, obviously that's going to build the trust, that's going to build the credibility, that's going to build the outcomes going forward. So if somebody sees it ahead of time and then they can save the downtime, that's a win, right? Not just for the company, but also for the technology. And that really builds the buy-in, builds the trust, and, it gets people really doing things. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, engagement is such a key aspect on the floor. It's getting the operators engaged in any new change is super key. So yeah, Rajneesh, I'd like to jump to you. You've talked about the balance between internal domain knowledge and external partners. When it comes to operator validation specifically, what does that have to come from inside the plant, or can an external partner play a role in earning that trust?
I think this is extremely important, and question is also very good, because what I felt over the last couple of years interacting with these different technologies, there is a huge gap that how things has been done on the shop floor, how the operator performs. There is no set rules to address each of the anomalies every time. There are always a gray space available. where operator takes a decision based on the different scenarios or inputs. Those inputs are very dynamic. Sometimes it's coming from the production plan. Sometimes it is coming from what's going to happen. Is there any plan tomorrow or not? So operator validation definitely is very high in this, but that is the gap which I realize really sometimes when people are explaining on the shop floor, the technology partner need to read or understand between their lines actually what it is meant for actually, because it's very hard and difficult sometimes to explain or understand the language of both sides when technology partner speaks from technology perspective, which is designed on certain rules and SOPs to perform. But the people who are like, let's say 20 plus year of experience handling those kind of assets, they have seen multiple of situations and dealing with a different in a dynamic situation also. So they are speaking from that perspective, and sometimes it is hard to explain and put in words actually. So that and gap really still I can feel it exists, and that's why it takes time to get matured and get the trust level up to the at certain level where we stop the existing workflows or processes what we are doing before this technology and 100% rely on the go with the technology actually. So that takes a longer time actually in that way.
Yeah, thank you. So Karthik, from your side, what does the average time to guaranteed payback and ROI look like when you talk about these changes, and how do you secure like that human-centered evidence-based decision-making with operator validated outcomes?
Yeah, I think it's very, very critical because with multiple opportunities are available for manufacturers to experiment in today's world, it is important to really have a very simple payback. And we almost guarantee our customers about 3 to 6 months of payback of any of the investments they make. And they're also going to take this on an OpEx model, which makes it even more interesting. And they don't need to rip and replace any of their existing systems, which is even more compelling. So if you really look at it, the manufacturers don't want just intelligence, they want to trust, and they also don't want automation or autonomous systems hallucinating. And they really want the future belongs to an explainability of AI. And the AI adoption in industrial grade accelerates when they really have the operators trust the recommendations. And when they really see it is augmenting operational wisdom and not replace it, I think that really makes it very, very easy for them to see the benefits. And most of the CXOs want to see the KPIs when we are implementing something like what we are doing. How much of uptime improvement can be guaranteed? How do you really look at the throughput increase? What can be done on the energy reduction? How do you think the maintenance cost can be optimized? And can we reduce the inventory on spare parts? Can we really reduce the unplanned downtime significantly? We have seen almost a 90-95% reduction in unplanned downtime with many of the customers we implemented, and few of them are part of this panel as well. I'm sure they can validate. We believe the initial value that we kind of really do it in a pilot takes about 6 to 8 weeks for us to prove. And when we want to pilot to scale, we have scaled up across some of the sites with more than 10,000 monitoring points being done in one single plant. And I think that happens about 6 to 12 months period. And enterprise level ROI is getting justified about 12 to 18 months period, where we can really take this to multi-site, multi-plant, multi-equipment context, that we can scale it up in 12 to 18 months period.
You're muted.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Sorry. So up to this point, we've talked about kind of where everything's headed, some solutions, some pitfalls. Now I'd like to jump to a reality check of sorts. So, Alec, there's been a lot of marketing that I see about lights out manufacturing and fully autonomous plants. I believe you've looked at this directly. What's your honest read, from being in the plant, and is lights out feasible in industrial settings today?
Yeah, definitely not today. I mean, maybe some places have experimented with it, but even when they do, it'll be for a period of time. and then they'll need to go do maintenance anyways, or if it breaks down, then they have to go do maintenance. So the true lights out really isn't there. I mean, there's some warehouses obviously that are very good. I think the best concept I've seen is really PepsiCo and some of their vision, how they look at plants and making sure that they're developed towards lights out, full automation, integration, AI. I really like their vision, and I like how they form partnerships with different people to expand that. But it really shows that some people are really pushing the ball forward, right? Obviously, different industries have different bottlenecks, different opportunities. But that was really a game changer. And I think as they learn and progress, we'll get more of that throughout the industry. That's where panels like this that are just not even across steel industry, but all manufacturing is very important, right? Because we can all learn from each other. We can all help push the envelope together and make ourselves better.
Yeah, absolutely. So Karthik, what does a mature AI manufacturing operation look like if not lights out, especially in 5 years from now? And how should manufacturers be planning for it today when designing or retrofitting plants?
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting question. And while the dark factories or fully autonomous factories are still a journey and not a destination, I think it's going to be a continuous evolution of how do you think you can get better at the challenges that are seen by the manufacturers. But it's going to be a journey. It will take 3 to 5 years for many of them to get to assisted semi-autonomous operations and eventually moving towards autonomous operations. But I think the journey is definitely on. I think few things that are critical to really get there. And how do you make sure you start enabling operator-assisted workflows, you start seeing evidence-based recommendations, and you are really giving a guided corrective actions, and your ability to really bring in escalation-based decision system, closed-loop learning. I think you start setting up in those 4 or 5 steps would really make the adoption to be much more easier. And I'm personally excited about the potential of fully autonomous or semi-autonomous plant operations. And especially when some of the plants are running for 50, 100 years, and you have a lot of knowledge that is available. And if you're able to contextualize the existing historical data into something which is meaningful insights, which can be driving actions, I see that at least 70, 80% of the operations can be automated. And we kind of really have a human in the loop till the machine learns. Once the machine learns, I think the machine should be allowed to take decisions autonomously. And it is still with a lot of risk, which need to be balanced. And when you're really taking a path which is irreversible, you just want to make sure that you put guardrails. You want to make sure that you move one step at a time. And manufacturing operations are always more complex. It's easily said than done. There is no single day is similar to the previous day or previous history. So if you go through something which is very different every day, but I think we are really excited about the potential of significant level of automation that's going to really happen in the manufacturing plants. And we are excited about as a pioneer and being the leader in this segment. And we are really looking forward to work with many of our customers as partners in taking them through this journey. And given a clear understanding, saying that domain plus AI is super critical because we are operating in a specific a steel environment or a chemical environment or a process manufacturing environment, which is very critical for us to understand. At the same time, use technology to solve business problems, guaranteeing outcomes. And this is going to be the future that we are really super excited about. And we don't want to just use technology for the sake of it, and ensuring that it is producing outcomes, it is really helping customers to improve their operational efficiencies is very critical in this journey.
Very good. So Rajneesh, right before we go into questions, I would like to get your perspective. For a manufacturer running multiple plants across multiple regions, what's the one thing you would tell them to get right first if they want to get their AI program to scale instead of stuck in a pilot purgatory?
So when we scale up, when we choose any solution for a single plant operation versus when we choose a multi-plant solution, there are some different criteria actually comes in a role to selection of the right technology. When we scale up a AI-based solution, something the human understanding, how to use, how to understand the AI, how to work together with AI, actually, how to coexist with AI suggestions, decisions, or that really need to understand actually. As I said, so first, change management is a very important factor which plays a very critical role. So we need to have a right governance of this technology adoption program, and then backed up by a strong change management, which sometime it can be driven by your lean technologies, because uh, you need to also turn around your work processes, workflows, which were being done manually before. Don't need to do redundantly with the new technology. Probably you need to shift it sometime 180-degree to get the better outcome of AI technology also. So you need to sometimes redesign also when we do this change management, not only people, but also process as well. So that combinedly takes a journey for a better adoption of this reliability on this. And just to reflect on this, because you were talking about ROI, one more thing. See, still very difficult differently understood the ROI from such kind of a solution actually, because any mechanical rotating equipment designed to fail actually, it's today or tomorrow, right? It's a matter of time on depending on operating condition. But when we talk about ROI, we need to understand that it's unplanned versus planned. So that's a delta where we save this actually exactly in terms of our maintenance resources cost, maintenance spare part cost, as well as our productivity, which we save. So that gives us a clearly defines our ROIs from such kind of technology. Still, a lot of people I saw struggling to justify or to understand in the reality actually from this kind of technology. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. All right. So I'd like to jump into questions now from the audience. So we've been getting quite a few. So I'm going to go from top to bottom and see how many we get through before the end of the session. So from Lucas Gabriel, we hear, is it possible to use agentic AI in industry acting directly with a UNS system, unified naming system, to enhance availability or even work on predictive maintenance, for example? Karthik, do you want to take a swing at that?
No, I think with the explainability of AI that I spoke about, along with the agentic, and we are really seeing that they are converging in creating the next generation of actions. And we can really integrate whatever recommendation we provide all the way through control systems, ability to act with multiple other systems. I think that's going to be enhanced by the agentic framework. And we are really seeing that the industrial agentic AI is going to really combine with industrial AI parts significantly. A lot of actions would be automated through agentic framework, which can work with multiple enterprise systems. And for example, you want to get a context of some maintenance recommendations, it should know the planning, it should know the execution, it should know the quality status, and we can pull in multiple data points through this agentic framework, and it would complement significantly to accelerate the adoption.
Great. So this next one, see if we can answer this live. Let's see what that does. So Alec, I'd like to get your perspective on this. So what is the practical definition of trust on the shop floor? What metrics must hit green before you allow any AI-driven action?
Yeah, so, trust, like you said, as far as a metric, it's really hard to garner a metric for trust, like true benchmark. Number one, it has to be very good indications, advising you what to go, whether you call it prescriptive or predictive or whatever. But you have to have that, and then it's built over time. I don't think there's necessarily a certain threshold. because I think everybody in this group, if you had 50% of the alarms coming in and they were erroneous, then that's not value, right? You'd have just too much work. If you have 70%, well, you're starting to get somewhere. 80%, okay, now there's going to be some trust built. When you start getting to the 90 percentile, it's very good. But remember too, it has to be trained. So some of the stuff we're looking at is truly pushing the envelope forward. It's not just a vibration sensor, right? Because a vibration sensor is easy. It's truly about taking process data, overlaying that with what the equipment's seeing, and then passing it down another couple layers. So it's almost like it can ask itself a 5 why. So it sees that production was bad. Why was production bad? Well, the operator slowed down. Well, why did the operator slow down? Well, the operator slowed down because, mill chatter, so why did they slow down the mill? Well, they slowed down the mill because of the product was very difficult to run, or maybe there was lubrication issues. And I mean, that at that point is when you really start getting somewhere. So to me, it's about how to really dig deeper and to push our vendors and suppliers to look past just, the first layer. I really want them to look, hey, help us build something, special.
Yeah, great. Yeah, 100% agree. The trust really comes in when you start figuring out what the problems are on the floor and like solving those. So if the operators can see that you're doing something with those numbers, and they're saying they're doing more lube checks, or less failures, like there's definitely going to be that element of trust. Yeah. Also, if anyone else wants to jump in, Rajneesh, feel free. We can answer these in a conversational manner too. So let's go on to the next one. So Richard Howes from Boston, interested in hearing about reliability of autonomous systems and automated systems and balancing that against AI and the current error rates.
Yeah. Should I take this, right? You're asking me?
Sure. Yeah, sounds great.
You're breaking in between. So hi, Richard. It's a good question. But when we think about autonomous operation, actually the safety comes first in the mind. The topmost things to get into the trust loop is the safety, because EHS always governs all these autonomous operations, where it is not like a regular operation, but sometimes it could be a fatal for your business operations as well. So as it was discussed a couple of minutes before also, probably about the dark factories and those things going to happen, but not sooner, because a lot of operations are still require regular checks and balances on the shop floor. But semi-autonomous could be possible. Automated operation, when we talk about automated systems against AI, so AI is improving day by day, because it's learning from us for our data, which were lying so many years in the silos. But now that all data are playing a crucial role to train these AI models, which are going to help us actually. So accuracy is improving day by day, and it's more and more getting trustable, the technology. It's just a matter of fitment to your own operation against the model development, but it is improving, I would say.
Great. All right. So this next one's not quite a question. We can swing back and try to make it a question at the end if we have time. This next one, what are the key change management activities you are doing to get buy-in at the lowest levels of the shop floor? From Brian Perlstein.
I guess that one's more fielded to me just because I have operations units. But yeah, as far as change management, different group really, right? So change management is really for us structuring it, making sure we're recording everything, making sure that the, dates are defined and that we know when we made changes and, when is a change successful and now it's going to be implemented. So to me, change management's a little bit different than the trust on the floor. The trust on the floor really is from just working with the teams. And like I said, in India, we're very blessed because we have a lot of people, right? We just do. The cost of labor there is much lower than the US. So there they were able to work together with suppliers, vendors, stuff like that, and actually build systems. So not just were they being sold something, but they literally helped build it. So, and then from the US perspective, we're able to adopt that and bring it over here. So, I mean, it's to some degree like our own R&D field. So it's very good. If we need changes made, they're very quick to help adopt stuff and they're very quick to share their knowledge. And for us, that's where the biggest trust is gained. So yeah,
Awesome.
it's not through a forced protocol, right? Because if I just do change management and say you're going to do it, people will resist, right? And they'll be like, oh,
Right.
why is this guy think he's smarter than us? We've been doing this for so many years. It really has to be about how to get the team to move together. And then that's when the change management comes through. And
Yeah, 100%.
I'll
All
just
right.
add another point to
yeah.
this, Swanagan. Yeah, we had an interesting conversation with one of the customer. His recommendation was he wants the recommendations to be so sharp. He wanted us to really take a lot of analysis or diagnosis at the end or at the edge with operators trying to fix issues. He said, we want the system to be so smart. He wants us to build an AI expert system that takes into account all the historical context and knowledge and really drives specific actions. I think this is driven by the challenges they face in terms of regular attrition, the skilled labor availability is a bigger issue, and ability to retain the knowledge is not high. And how do you think you can really build this as an expert system and really make the execution happen through the workers at the end and using AI as a knowledge base, I think is something that is really being adopted at a matured level. But at the entry level, it's about training, it's about making them to feel comfortable. It's about seeing this as an assist. I think always goes well because you're going to make the job easier. You're going to make them to have peace all the time and they don't need to be concerned about surprises. I think if you can really make this as a key deliverable, I think the adoption really goes exponentially high.
Great. Yeah, agreed. So there's a few more questions here. There's one I want to jump down to real quick. I think it's particularly relevant. So this AI-enabled systems in manufacturing can increase cyber attack risks, such as unauthorized access to industrial control systems. What measures should manufacturers adopt to prevent such AI-driven cyber attacks? And whoever wants to jump in on this, feel free.
you want that, Raj?
Yeah, sure. So just a few bites on this. So it's not about AI-enabled system or something else for cyber attack risk. It's about opening up our boundaries actually, whether you are opening for AI or whether you are opening just to access your own information remotely. So it's not about AI, but yes, when we talk about AI growing in this manufacturing field, it is also growing in the field of cybersecurity. So if I talk about OT cybersecurity specifically, which falls under this process control networks, there are new developments also in OT cybersecurity space as well, which need to be in place when we are deploying any AI-based technology or something. And AI-based cybersecurity is also available to predict the risk and to continuously analyze the risk also. So they are working hands in hands also together, and is also improving day by day also, that cybersecurity also. So it has to be in place wherever we adopt any of the such systems. Cybersecurity should be intact as per the IC 62443 standard. It should be there, definitely.
Great. So I think this question dovetails into that pretty nicely. So how are companies balancing critical investments in their foundational OT systems and data environments? So I think that could include like process control networks with the need to produce quantifiable returns in the near term.
Yeah, maybe I can start with this and then others can chime in. Yeah, I think what we have seen across, since we are almost operating in 5 continents and 30 countries, what we have seen, one common concern or challenge that we see across manufacturers is having a strong data foundation. I think that's definitely something which is patchy and which would really require significant amount of money that need to be invested on. The reason why some of the ROI computation becomes difficult, because when you're working on multiple siloed systems, it becomes all the more difficult to really give a holistic return of investment on a broader context. So that's always a challenge. And there are tactical and here and now kind of issues that can be fixed. But when you're really trying to run about more context integration into the process and equipment and the ability to look at the plant operations more holistically, that's where it really starts failing. When you're really talking about enterprise grade scaling, you just need to make sure that all the foundational elements need to be in place. And that is the real challenge that we have seen across. And every customer environment will have multiple enterprise systems, multiple kind of type of equipments, type of processes would be different across their own sites. How do you think you can really find a way to standardize? And I think that's always a challenge that we have seen across the board. And taking all this into account and with agentic framework along with explainable AI and getting the context being continuously ingested, I think would really make this process to be as standardized as possible. And it would again be a journey, and you'll have to go through multiple steps before you get to the maturity of really assisted actions and making the operation intelligence a reality.
Great.
Just Ray, I
Yeah.
want to add a few things, my experience also in this, because I also saw some chat about this also, that some people, when we talk about foundation, actually data foundation, even many of the companies are still operating with their basic PLC, SCADA systems in a isolation asset wise also. So when we talk about bringing those, integrating those operational data into one platform, that becomes mandatory. Now, I also want to say, earlier, before this technology, MES was like supposed to be a very good system for having all a integrated operation for any facility. But I'm not sure, but I feel strongly that in today's world, where you talk about different your productivity dashboards and those things, this technology can fetch the data from different sources which are lying within the corners of your four-wall boundaries of manufacturing, and it can reproduce the insights as you asked with them, with the help of LLMs or agentic AI engines, which you can build around it. They can also like build a dynamic dashboard. I want to see today a dashboard with these parameters from this period and with this scenario. They can reproduce you for use of today. Maybe tomorrow I would like to see a different analyze in a different way the same thing. So it can reproduce that in a different way. So you don't need to be static. It is moving to the dynamic situations also with the help of this. But data quality plays a critical role. Definitely, it's a garbage in, garbage out. The good quality of data will give definitely good quality of outcomes. Thank you.
Yeah, great. I think we have time for one more question, so I'm gonna pick this one here.
You mind if I ask a quick, take a statement
Sure.
from the comments? Because the MES comments are near and dear to my heart because
Yeah, definitely.
obviously it's something as a production environment. You know, one person mentioned that they don't have them available. Another person was mentioned how to integrate, I believe was their best example. With that being said, I mean, we're moving pushing the envelope as far as trying to say, okay, what should I be able to gain from productivity? What should I schedule together? And, you know, it's and we employ huge groups to do this, right? To streamline our operations, and AI can go ahead and take all that information, really give us a better schedule, look at all different process variables and help us not just react but also predictive where we should be. So I think that's also the envelope too, is a lot of times people looked at it in the past as being a reactive tool and then trying to adjust to something in the field. Instead, we're trying to say, no, we want to actually schedule and look at our schedules and bring those forward into it. And also look at profitability and all those other things that are a little bit harder to overlay. And the last company I worked for, we looked at everything as far as line time, and doing it in line time was, the best way to figure out profitability. And with AI, it's just so much easier, because you can overlay everything.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Thank you for that. All right. I think that's probably all the questions we can get to before the end of the session. So I would like to thank you all. So Karthik, Alec, Rajneesh, for this practical conversation, I feel. And thank you again to the sponsor of this session, Infinite Uptime. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining and for the great questions. Those were really good. Sorry that we were not able to get to all of them, but I think we got some good ones in there. So coming up next is the Building Manufacturing AI That Earns Executive Trust, sponsored by Coreflux. So please stick around for that. But yeah, thank you again, and have a great day.
Thank you, Swanagan, for orchestrating it, and thanks Rajneesh, and thanks Alec for being part of this session. And we are excited to be a partner of industrial intelligence orchestrator to our manufacturing customers globally, and super excited about the future.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you to the whole audience.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.